I don't want to break your train of thought. There's multiple passages that God does not allow his anointed ones in the Old Testament, the Messiah, the Moshiach, to be harmed. So this is basically, the idea of a crucified Messiah is an oxymoron. It's a contradiction in terms, because that in itself would be a proof of his imposture. The fact that he would be killed, that in itself is proof that he's now the truly anointed one can never be put to death. The fact that he's killed.
Al tegu b'neshichai u'nevi'ei al tereu. You do not harm, that my anointed ones will not be harmed, neither will the prophet. God is protecting them. The whole, look, all someone has to do is, read Isaiah, read Ezekiel, read Jeremiah. It's all there. But frankly, I'll tell you the truth, that just Christians never read the book of Jeremiah once in their life. The only thing they know about Jeremiah is that they are given these cards, these pamphlets, and go, remember this verse there, remember that verse there, completely out of context, no clue, really just don't read it. A Jewish child goes to yeshiva, goes to school, first will learn Hebrew immediately. Hebrew, a religious Jew can read Hebrew the way a person can read a newspaper. It's just our first language, and it's an easy language, frankly. And number two is we're learning the whole book. We're not learning, we go through the entire cycle of reading it and understanding it. Christians don't have that, and Christians do not teach Hebrew to their children, even though they believe that Hebrew is a holy language. It doesn't even make sense, except that this is an old traditional church. The church knew that if its parishioners were able to read Hebrew, that means they can read the Bible on their own without a translation. You can close up the whole church. So frankly, this is the difference about knowing the original text in its language. I remember in Indonesia, they would have among Muslims in Indonesia, young boys. I don't know if they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, who would memorize the whole Quran. They would know it by heart, and they'd be on television. It was very important, right? But not to the Christian, and certainly not in the original language. That means in Arabic.
No, definitely not. I think there's no connectivity. There's nothing.
None at all. They're all dependent on translators, and they argue. The biggest argument among Christians is frequently among evangelicals is which translation to use. The King James. Oh, nothing. Who cares a translation? A translation is a human iteration. By definition, it's not the word of God. Now, translations are necessary for people who are not familiar with the original language, but that shouldn't be the default. People should be learning a holy book in its original language. What are you doing?